and mental well-being. Just imagine you on 88.5 Super FM, talking, questioning, sharing your experience, information, education, entertainment, news, instructions, advice on diabetes, high blood pressure, strokes, menopause, AIDS, pregnancy, sex.
Sex? Did you say sex?
As prescribed, take your medication, exercise, and diet. On 88.5 Super FM, tell a friend, call your neighbor. Casualty 911 is on.
And of course, now 6 minutes after 10 a.m. in St. Lucia and the rest of the Eastern Caribbean. Today is the 25th day of November 2024. And of course, it's 10 a.m. on a Monday. So, of course, you know what that means. It's time for Casualty 911. And in studio, we have here with us today, Fauhn. Miss Fauhn, good morning.
Good morning, Romanus.
How are you this morning?
I am having a good day so far. What about you?
I am good. Yeah, my day started really early today. So, yeah, I've had a long day today.
It's already a long day at 10 a.m.
Yep.
Better you than me. So, good morning to our listeners. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Casualty 911 on 88.5 Super FM. To our usual listeners, as always, thank you ever so much for joining in. It has been a pleasure being with you throughout the year. To our new listeners, welcome. You're joining us on the last edition of Casualty
Just for
911
this
for
year.
2024. We will be ending our programming today so that we can make way for all the Christmas programming, and hopefully the listeners of 88.5, you will have a ball calling in and winning some wonderful prizes as December rolls in. And speaking of calling in, I would like to remind our listeners that we always appreciate your feedback. We appreciate your engagement. So please feel free to call us at 459-7888 or send a WhatsApp message at 730-5388. We look forward always to hearing from you. Hearing from you would help to enhance the program. We want the program to reach you. We want to know that whatever we are doing here, whatever topics we talk about, we bring to the fore here, that it's actually having some kind of impact, that people are learning, that people are engaged. And if you have questions, always feel free to call in, whether we have the answers at that moment or not. Just know that at some point you will get the answers. Okay, usually we have some guests in, but today, since it's our last program, and Louisa has already started her vacation, she started her vacation today.
Oh,
You know, as a matter of fact, she should have started tomorrow so that she could have been here today. But
exactly.
you know,
I should have been here to close the program.
to close up the program today. So, Louisa, wherever you are, I hope you're not working too hard. I hope you're actually having a very relaxed first vacation day. Well, actually, I'm not really wishing that, but I have to say it anyway. Moi, eu pou ka pou an fè ou blow. But
I hope she's listening.
But I know that at some point you will start to enjoy your vacation. And, when you have worked hard, it's always good to have some time off just to relax and so on. So, as we know, Casualty 911 is a health program. We speak of many different health topics throughout the year. And we try very often to align, to program based on whatever the health observances are for the various months, the different days and months and so on, so that we can raise the awareness. When we try to align with health observances are meant to not just, sometimes there's a specific color. So it's not just about dressing in the specific color or or decorating in the specific color of the observance, but it's meant to help to raise awareness so that people can learn a little bit more about the condition. You can learn a little bit more about the symptoms. You can learn about the causes, the effects of the health condition on the body, how to prevent, how to reduce risk, and so on. It's also meant to encourage all of us to take the steps that would help to reduce illness, to have a healthier lifestyle, a healthier life, a better quality of life. So when we talk about the various observances, so for example, we start off usually in January, cervical uh, cervical cancer awareness. So we know that is geared towards women. And we know also, I would like to think that cervical cancer is one of the most preventable cancers, and we actually use the word preventable when we speak about cervical cancer because the screening allows the health providers to see changes very early before it becomes cancer. So that's just one of the topics that we usually try to include in our programming every year. We try to present it in different ways because obviously we don't want you to get bored, but it's still an issue. So we've spoken about this year's cervical cancer. We've spoken about autism. So we try to cover children, children's issues, adult issues, women, men, whatever it may be. Now, when we speak about the different issues, we would really like for people to try to remember some of the information. If it does not really apply to you or your life, maybe you know somebody who it might benefit, and maybe the person has not been listening to the program. Encourage them to listen to the program. Share the information that you have gotten from the program with them so that they in turn can make a difference in their own lives, the lives of their families. We also want people to try to take a little bit more responsibility for their own lives. We play the biggest role in our health in terms of those things that we have control over, that there's actually a way to control. We have no control over our genes and so on. But in terms of lifestyle practices, our diet, what we eat, how much we eat, our portion sizes, what else? How much water we drink, whether we exercise or not, how
Our stress levels, of
our
course.
stress levels. And some people, Romanus, you bring up stress, but many people believe that they have no control over stress, that stress is just something that happens to them, where really and truly we do have some control, because how we react to the various
Mhm.
situations that come up is what determines how stressed we feel about it.
Yeah, and
Okay.
stress is a leading cause of a lot of illnesses. What I believe is that a lot of illnesses are already inside of us, but when we're stressed out, it weakens our immune system, so it gives that illness a chance to take over our bodies. So that's why we have to try as much as possible not to be stressed and not to let stress take over our bodies.
Stress can contribute significantly to our health outcomes. Stress can have certain effects on the body. Sometimes people have some may complain with. So there are certain symptoms that people may complain with, especially in the abdominal area. They might have bellyaches, they might have, some people get diarrhea, some people lose their hair, some people get headaches. So stress can really contribute to a feeling of being unwell. And if we are unwell, it means that we don't function properly within any sphere. We cannot function properly at home. We are less productive at work. And we just don't feel good about ourselves. And if we don't feel good about ourselves, I mean, you know how we say, we just there. We
Like
just
you
there.
would not be motivated enough to also
Exactly.
further take care of yourself.
Exactly. Or to take care of anybody else.
Exactly.
Okay. So we do have some control over stress and other health conditions. And it really means that we have to take responsibility. For the people who have chronic conditions, it means that long term you will be dealing with those conditions. We very often talk about diabetes and hypertension and so on. There are many things that we can do. We spend most of our time managing the condition. It's not the doctor that you see once every 3 months or once a month. It's not the nurse. We say it all the time. The health providers are not the ones in the house with you. They're not the ones going to shop with you. They're not the ones deciding how much water you drink. They're not the ones deciding how you take the medication, whether you choose to take the medication as prescribed or whether you choose to take it haphazardly, take some today, don't take it tomorrow, take it once a week, or only take it when you happen to check your blood sugar or your blood pressure and you realize, iho, naipon takui med, naipon tape de pills. So, we have control over that. And the way we choose to manage will really determine how well we control and manage the condition itself, how the outcomes will be, whether we get some complications very early or whether we can not get complications at all. Some people are doing very well in terms of managing their conditions. So, all of that to say that when we speak about the health observances, we want it to be more than just, talking about something for the moment. We want people to take it in, to incorporate it into your routine. We have had the nutritionist here a couple of times talking about healthy eating, talking about portion sizes, talking about serving sizes, sugar intake. Some of us, we like a lot of sugar, we like a lot of salt, we like a lot of packaged foods. So this year, when it comes to sugar intake and so on, you've probably heard, I hope all of you can remember, those of you who are regular listeners, you've heard about how to read the nutrition label to see how much sugar is actually in whatever it is. So if you have a nutrition label and it says serving size 2 servings per container, and then it says 20 grams of sugar per serving, that means that there's actually 40 grams of sugar in the whole package because it has 2 servings. Whether the one serving is 2 biscuits. So if you have a pack of 4, so in the 4 biscuits you have 40 grams of sugar. What does that mean? 4 grams, 1 teaspoon. So it means that in the little packet of 4 biscuits, you have 10 teaspoons of sugar when the recommended intake is 9 or 6 for well, I always wonder why, but I must ask the nutritionist.
Is it really 9, or are you just making a It's just making an example.
No, it's actually 4 grams equals one teaspoon. So,
Mhm.
oh, you mean the
No,
nine
the
teaspoons?
daily
Yes, that's
the
the
intake,
recommended
daily intake,
daily intake. So,
9 grams.
if you think about it, you see, Romanus is laughing because Romanus knows by the time
Hmm.
you put 2 teaspoons and our teaspoons that we have in the cupboard, probably when you heap it, when you heap 2 teaspoons to put in your tea, it's actually four of the
Hmm.
little baking teaspoons, which is what
And
they're
people
referring
don't really
to.
measure.
We
People
don't
a lot
measure
of persons might hear teaspoon and they might think it's just a small spoon,
a
but
small
that's
spoon,
actually
but
a
no, sir.
measurement.
The measurement, like you have when you're going to bake, you following a recipe, you have
Hmm.
your teaspoon, your half teaspoon, and so on. So that is the teaspoon. And if you think about it, that teaspoon usually is much
It's
smaller than what we have in our
hmm
drawers at home. Okay, so that is one. The nutritionist recently was here speaking about trans fat, and how it affects our cholesterol levels and all of those things. So when we hear those things, it it is meant to encourage us to actually make a change. Sometimes we are not at a point where we think we need to make any changes. Sometimes we know that we need to make some changes in order to have a healthier life, but we're not ready, and that's okay. You're not ready. But when you're ready, you will start to think about, how can I make that change? You start to think of the strategies you can use. You will start to think about who might be able to help you to accomplish what do you need, and then to be very, very strategic about it. So, in terms of saying, okay, this is a change I want to make. Now, I know there's a reason why we end in our programming in November, because we know that when December hits,
yeah. So we're gonna forget all those
uh,
figs and
people most I can't say most, but many people don't really want to hear about that, because your focus is elsewhere. Your focus is on enjoyment and so on. But even as we move into the enjoyment aspect of it, I would like us to do a little check in on ourselves. We started off the year, usually we start off the year in January with a lot
mhm.
of hopes and plans and resolutions. I'm going to do
Yes.
this and that and whatever. And many times it there is some health aspect included. Yes, some people have goals that are related to their finances. That's your financial health. Uh, or getting the pap smear, the breast exam, for the men, the prostate exam, and all of that. So now is a good time to check in with yourself of all the things that you planned to do this year as it relates to health. How many have you accomplished? Did you have any successes? Did you make any progress? What were your challenges? What can you do differently? There's nothing wrong with thinking about it. And if you decide that, you know what, I missed it, so I will go and I will get checked. So you
Mhm.
decide, okay, I will go and get at least my vitals checked. I will go and get my blood pressure checked, my blood sugar. I will get my cholesterol tested before the season. That puts you in an
Mhm.
excellent position to know how to manage the season. Because you find very often people become sick during the season. Why? Because we have not done the checks. And then we go and we
Overindulge.
Overindulge. Thank you.
But if
You've got the right word. We
but
overindulge.
but if you've done what you're supposed to do for 11 months in a year, then that month in December, well, December when you overindulge, it would not be too much of a problem. But if we're not doing what we're supposed to do all through the year and then still overindulge in December, that's when the problem is.
And then sometimes when we go and we indulge in December, we don't know where we are. It's
Exactly, yeah.
always good to have an idea of where am I health wise? Where am I? What is my cholesterol? Is it high? Is it just borderline high? Is it extremely high? Because imagine you it's the end of November, your cholesterol is extremely high, your blood pressure is extremely high, you have no idea
Mhm.
that you're in that condition, and you're out there drinking a lot of alcohol,
Eating pork,
eating a lot of
fatty foods,
fatty foods, eating a lot of salty foods.
and not getting enough sleep at that time because you're going house to house.
Right, exactly. So a lot of damage can be done. So have a little check in with yourself. Do at least what is what you're able to do, whatever it is that you think you can do before the season really, really hits. Do a little check in. Where am I? What do I need to do? Okay, if I am in this position, okay, well, maybe I had planned, maybe I usually eat a lot of pork, or I drink a lot of alcohol. I will cut it down.
Hmm. This year I will drink
This,
sorrel.
yes, this season I will tone it down a little bit. And for the people who have conditions like diabetes and hypertension, it does not mean that you cannot enjoy your season. There are many people who don't use alcohol and they enjoy themselves. But the problem is, there are some people who know they're very sick, they're on medication. What do? They stop the medication for the whole season so that they
They
can
can drink.
drink and make merry. And you have to think, oh, what risk is there for me? And what benefit is there to me in doing that? So that is
And
a
is it worth it?
personal,
Hmm.
and whether it's worth it. So that's a personal choice, a personal decision. But usually you will find that there really is not much of a benefit to doing to just stopping your medication to drink and overindulge in alcohol and so on. Okay, so just a reminder to all of those people out there, all of our listeners, to take your health seriously. You can enjoy in moderation. We can still exercise during the season. There are people who, when they don't exercise, they feel so uncomfortable that these people already have a routine. But for the rest of us who may not have a routine, it's still important to do a little exercise. We may not be able to go out to a gym for an hour or to walk for an hour and a half, but 10 minutes at intervals during the day. So you do 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the night. We're aiming actually for 30 minutes, because if you've been listening to the program for the year, I think you've probably heard that a few times. I don't want to be too repetitive, but it's always good to remind people. And since we usually, I would like to think, have new listeners, we're aiming
Hmm.
for 30 minutes of moderate exercise per day. So moderate being what? You can talk but you cannot sing, which means that the heart the heart is actually working.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so you can probably have a short conversation, but you cannot be singing out a whole song. If you're singing throughout your, say you decide to walk and you can sing and sing and sing, you need to hype it up a little bit more, tone it up.
I don't understand what you're trying to say.
You don't
Sorry, no.
understand what you're trying to say. Okay, so if you can't understand, probably some of our listeners can't either. So if you are exercising moderately, you should probably be able to say, "Hi, Romanus."
Oh, okay, I get
Hi,
you.
Romanus. But you cannot sing an entire Christmas carol and not, and just
So
effortlessly.
so that means you're not doing it right if you're
That
able
that
to
means you need to put a little bit more
more
effort
pep
into it, more
into your
pep
step.
into your step.
Okay.
Exactly. I mean, all exercise is good, but if you want the benefits, the full benefits, you need to try to have at least 30 minutes of moderate exercise.
I think what most people are doing is like, the year's going to start and they're going to say, okay, I'm going to start exercising this year. I'm going to join a gym. But it's like,
In December?
well, they're going to say, okay, I'm going to start in the new year. I'm going to start
Okay.
gymming in the new year. I'm going to start exercising in the new year. But it's like everything else. It's like a habit that you have to form. So, instead of just trying to just jump into it, that will be very hard for you to do because you're not disciplined enough to do it. So you have to take it in small steps. So probably,
Exactly.
if you've never exercised before, if you've never walked before, probably you take it once a week. Once a week you start exercising. By next month, you do twice a week, and then that's how the habit is formed, and that's how you keep a habit. But to say you'll just join a gym, start, no, it will not happen like that. Eventually, you'll drop
Go
out.
full blast for a
Yeah,
week and then your body is so
yeah,
stiff
and you're
and you
like,
give
nah,
up.
I cannot do that. So you start small.
Yes.
Probably instead of joining the gym, you start walking on the morning, or you walk afternoons after work, and then eventually, you join the gym. It's like, okay,
Or you put on some YouTube videos.
yeah,
There's so
you
many exercise
do something
videos.
at home.
Yes. So I'm glad you mentioned that because it is something that we tell people all the time. Small changes. You start
Hmm.
small. So you may not, some people have the ability, the discipline to decide, okay, so somebody wants to quit smoking, to just quit
Hmm.
cold turkey
But it's not always so easy. So
and maintain it.
hmm
But for others, you need to take it slowly. You may decide, okay, I'll cut down from 10 or 5
to
to 4 a day.
hmm
I'll not take the one right before bed. 2 weeks later, you cut it down. Then you cut it down. Then you have one. After some time, a few months, you're down to one. Later on, you might decide, you know what, I'll not smoke it, but I'll just, rest it in
hmm
my mouth, play with it, just to have it.
and
And then
eventually, yeah.
eventually, you get rid of it
Hmm.
completely. It's the same as any other change, that lifestyle change that you want to make. If you're a person who drinks juice and not water, you may water down the juice to begin
Hmm.
with and then put less and less juice in the water so that eventually you will be drinking just pure water and in large
Hmm.
enough quantity to be beneficial to the body. Okay, so these are the little things, and you will get a reminder in January when you have your long list of resolutions. I mean, we all go through it. We all and sometimes we drop off the wagon, we try again. There's nothing wrong with failure. It's what you do after you have failed. We'll experience challenges, but we have to try to get back on board. Okay, so I think many of us have gone through it many, many times, and we keep striving to get it right. Okay, so that is for now. I will leave this here. Can we take a short break, and then when we come
Yep.
back, we will speak a little bit about the observance. We spoke about observances generally. There's an observance today, and there's one coming up in December. So we'll speak briefly about these, and then we will get.
You asked for more live and relevant talk shows, and we heard you. 88.5 Super FM presents House Guest, a brand new, fresh fortnightly feature airing on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. House Guest will showcase a cadre of professionals from doctors and entrepreneurs to the next door friendly neighbor. So tune in as we network the community with a platform for open, frank, and informative discussion. Only on Super FM, your community radio station.
My mommy protected me and my little nephew when she got vaccinated.
My doctor is protecting me. She's vaccinated.
My aunt protected me when she got vaccinated.
COVID-19 vaccines are available for people from the age of 12 years and older. Being vaccinated against the virus does not only protect you, it also makes our country safer for those who cannot receive the vaccine.
Vaccinate for you, for yours, for us.
All right, 20 minutes on to 11 a.m. in St. Lucia and the rest of the Eastern Caribbean. Welcome back inside. We are here with Casualty 911, and we have Fauhn here with us. Welcome back.
Welcome back to our listeners. Before we went to break, we spoke a little bit about the reason for the observances, what we hope to people to gain from all of the topics that we share throughout the year. And we went into some of the little issues and challenges that people have in terms of healthy lifestyles and so on, and the importance of the check-in, at least before the Christmas season gets into full swing, so you know exactly where you are and how to conduct yourself during the season. In light of observances, today, the 25th of November, is International Day of Elimination of Violence Against Women. And it is the first day of a campaign which is a 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. So you realize that I've used violence against women and gender-based violence, which sometimes is used interchangeably. But violence against women really refers to women and girls.
Okay.
Gender-based violence has a broader meaning, so it would include people who identify as who it has to do with people's gender identity and so on. So it is a little bit more inclusive of others who may not have been born as male or female.
Okay, but if it's gender based, shouldn't it include men as well? Men get
yes,
Okay.
gender-based violence.
right.
Yes, it's a little bit more
broader
yes,
size.
inclusive of others, okay, who may experience violence. So I'm going to be doing a little reading. Bear with me.
Sure.
This information is from the World Health Organization site, and the World Health Organization recognizes violence against women as a public health problem. It is a public health problem because it affects so many women globally. They estimate that 30% of women worldwide have experienced either physical and or sexual intimate partner violence or non-partner sexual violence in their lifetime. 30%.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's 3 out
30%.
of 10. Okay? So 30% of women. Most of this violence is intimate partner violence. So when we say intimate partner violence, we're talking about violence that occurs that is perpetrated by your partner or your ex-partner.
I think they call it domestic abuse.
Well, it's a little more domestic violence includes any violence that occurs in the household. So that would be against children and so on. But intimate partner violence is basically within a relationship or between ex-partners.
Okay.
And usually, although there are quite a few men who also experience violence, intimate partner violence, you find that many women, it appears that more women experience that sort of violence as opposed to men. And I mean, there are many arguments where that is concerned. There are some who will tell you that it's just underreported, that men don't like to talk about these things.
I believe it is underreported. I believe a lot of men do not speak up, but I really do not believe that the numbers would
be
surpass.
equal, right?
Yeah.
Would surpass the women. I tend to agree with you on that as well. So most of this violence occurs between the ages of 15 and 49 years of age, with women who have been in a relationship and who report that they have been subjected to some form of physical and or sexual violence by their partner. Violence can negatively affect the physical, mental, sexual, and reproductive health of women and put them at risk, obviously, for sexually transmitted infections, including HIV. So when we talk about eliminating violence against women, saying that violence against women is a public health concern, it means that there is an impact on women's health. And as WHO points out, it can be physical, it can be mental, it can be sexual. Violence during pregnancy can result in premature birth, low birth weight. It can result in death, stillborn children, death of the mother. It can result in murder. It can result in suicide, because whoever is experiencing that violence may not be able to deal with it and may look for a way to get out of it, and that way might sometimes be suicide. So there are a lot of health consequences as it relates to violence and in violence generally, but we're speaking about violence against women today because of the observance. So it can lead to injuries, according to WHO, with 42% of women who experience intimate partner violence reporting an injury as a consequence of this violence. It can lead to unintended pregnancies, obviously. I think we can all figure out that it can lead to unintended pregnancies. It can also lead to induced abortions, problems with the reproductive system. We said STIs and so on. So it's a very serious issue. It's a very serious issue, and sometimes we tend to trivialize it. We make fun of the situation. We don't take it seriously. I mean, yes, it is actually very challenging, very difficult. I'm not an expert by any means, and I don't intend to go very in depth with the topic because that is not my area of expertise. It is very difficult for women and men, but since we're talking about women, it's very difficult for women to walk away, to simply, as we say, just walk away. Why not just walk away?
Yeah,
If you're being
that's
abused, if you're experiencing physical violence, mental
why
violence,
don't you leave? That's the advice
just
that they get.
leave. As if it's so easy. It actually is not that easy. There are many reasons why women stay in relationships that are abusive. It could be a financial dependence. It could be that they have usually, sometimes you find that their self-worth has been diminished so much that they don't see themselves as valuable and worthy and so on. They don't have that inner strength to just walk away, to say, I am worth more than that, I have more value, because they don't actually see their value.
Yeah, because I believe before anybody is abused physically, they are abused mentally. So the abuser would make you feel less of a person than you
Less
are.
of.
So you feel like, okay, if I leave him, nobody would want me. Who am I? I'm nothing. So you just decide to just stay. Like, what's my worth? Like, you just give up, and
Yeah.
that's what usually happens.
and sometimes and sometimes these are actually some of the words that the abuser might use.
Exactly. You're
Who would
worthless.
want
Who
you?
would want you?
What
You're
would you do
ugly.
without me? I mean, you cannot, you have so little value on your own. How would you survive financially, and all of those things?
And the way that the mind works is, once something is repeated to you all the time, it's always repeated. You start to believe it.
Yes, so you really, we tend to internalize it, we believe it, and then it's very difficult to go past that. So these are situations where people more than anything need a lot of support, sometimes expert support, to get out of those situations. So in light of all of those things, we, I will just say that let us take a moment to think about our lives. Some of us may have experienced it and not admitted it or said it to anybody. Some of us know people who are currently in that situation. And what we can do sometimes, all we can do is to just give a listening ear, because many times that person may not be ready to leave. So by us bombarding them with the just go and all of the advice, it's not very helpful. Or some people, because they become so very disappointed, um, that maybe they helped the person to leave and the person went back. But you have to understand that there is in as much as there's abuse, there is a bond, there is something there between those two people, and it takes time. It takes a certain mental fortitude to be able to move away from that. So, in light of the observance, I would just like to say, let us give support to those we know who are going through it. Let us take it seriously.
But how do you
Many
give support?
times,
Because you don't want to just jump into somebody's business.
no, as I said, sometimes the support may be something as simple as giving a listening ear, giving a listening ear. You try to figure out what the person needs from you. You let them know that you are there for them
Yeah,
anytime
I
they are
think that's the
ready,
best way to
that you
approach
are
it.
there for
You
them.
don't, just go out to the person and tell the person, I know that you are being abused, and this is what you should do. I think you should go to the person and say, I'm your friend. If you ever need somebody to talk to, if you ever going through anything, not letting them know that you know that they're going through something. Just tell them, if you ever need somebody to talk to, I'm always there for you,
Yes.
and you stay close to that person.
Yes, and if they need you to do certain things, so then when they have come to a point where maybe they want to leave, that you can actually direct them to certain resources and so on. So it is something that usually takes some time. Let us be patient with people. Let us not be too judgmental. Let us not think that we could never find ourselves in that situation, or that we would be able to break free very
Yeah,
easily.
because I'm sure
Okay.
there are people who are being abused, but they have not really acknowledged it. Us on the outside, we would see it. Sometimes you see somebody, you can see clearly that this person is being abused, and then you tell that person that, and the person is saying no. But that's what they mean when they say love is blind. You in a relationship, you just don't see that. People from the outside would see it before you do, and that's always the case.
And sometimes because there's some justification that is given to the person of, you made me do this, or I did that because you, so they believe it and they use it to as a reason for why they are abused. So it is a very complicated situation, and it is something that is a process to break free of. So let us not be judgmental. Let us be supportive in the ways that we can be supportive. And let us just acknowledge that it is something that probably we have gone through and not admitted to ourselves that it was actual abuse, you know, and try to come to terms with the fact that we cannot always be somebody's savior, but there are things that we can do. When there are opportunities to help, let us be ready to help. Let us be ready to give our support in whatever way is needed.
And
So
unlike the millennials would say, don't ignore the red flags. Sometimes you're in a new relationship, you see, those little signs that you keep ignoring. Sometimes the person snaps very easily. The person gets upset very easily. They're not physical yet, but you can see the little signs that may lead to it. So you have to, look at those signs and decide, okay, is this something that I can deal with? Is this something that could get worse?
yes. And we had a guest on who spoke about intimate partner violence. And I encourage all of you, sometimes we may miss a program, but go to the YouTube page. Go to 88.5 YouTube page. It's a health program. You can search for it, Casualty 911. See what's there that might pique your interest. You may have heard part of the program and miss the rest. Go back and look at it. Listen to what the people who work within those fairs actually have to say about it. So we had a guest, Miss Fadia Andrew, has been on the program and spoken about intimate partner violence. Okay, so and other types of abuse. So it's something that you can go back to, listen over and over again, so that you can take from it what you need. You can share it with others. And that goes not just for this topic, but for all the topics that we have covered. I know one of the most popular topics we had this year was actually autism.
Oh.
You know, so there, if you notice, there are quite a few. I don't know. It seems to have exploded. There are so many parents and families who now have children with autism. And we had Dr. What's her name? She's a clinical psychologist. The name is just eluding me now. She's a clinical psychologist and she was on the program and she did an excellent job of talking about autism, talking about intervention, talking about the early intervention, how to deal with certain things. So go back, look at it, listen, pay attention to all the little details that may apply to you. Some of it you may already know, but there may be some things that may be useful or beneficial to you. Go back and listen. I encourage all of you, and I encourage you also, as we say all the time. We have been saying that throughout the year, and I don't think we've made a lot of progress in terms of getting people to engage, especially when we have guests. When we have the guests, we have them for a reason. I mean, we may be able to give you general information about certain things, but when we bring the guests in, it's because we want to be able to give more detailed information. We want to have somebody with us who can answer your questions in more detail. So please, as we go, this is the last program. As we look forward to you joining us in 2025. My goodness, 2025 already.
Oh boy.
In January of 2025. Call, send the WhatsApp messages, engage the guests. Even now, you can. I'm sure those. I'm losing my train of thought. Romanas and others would be willing to accept your suggestions. If there are any topics that you think that we should cover during the year, feel free to make your suggestions.
Just reach out to the WhatsApp.
Just-
Just send a WhatsApp message, and of course, we'll take that into consideration.
And Louisa and I will get that information and try our best to have that topic to get.
Or sometimes you can just
information as well.
let's say for instance we were talking about something like breast cancer. Probably you can call into you probably had that experience. You can speak about it so that other persons who are going through it can understand that okay, you're not alone. Or sometimes you speak about the early signs that you had and somebody's like, oh, but I'm having the same symptoms. Maybe I should go and check. So it's important sometimes you call, just to give that little.
Yes, just to share your experiences. Sometimes we do bring in people who are, since you mentioned breast cancer, I remember Louisa had a friend of hers on who is currently getting treatment for breast cancer. And there are so many people going through it, and sometimes you don't have the support, and it's good to hear other people's experiences. So when you call in, as Romana said, when you call in and you share your own experiences, it can be very beneficial to people out there, because sometimes we're going through challenges, we're experiencing challenges, and we think not that we're the only ones, but it's so overwhelming.
Like that, yes.
It feels as if you're all alone. And it's nice, even though it's a challenging period in your life, it's nice to know that there's somebody who has gone through it, who can say, okay, well, that's normal. That's normal. I made it through, and so can you. So it gives you a little extra encouragement, a little support. So all of that helps. It's not just about disseminating just sharing information. We want it to be more than that, because when it comes to behavioral change, changing our behavior and so on, it takes more than just information. Sometimes you have to hit people in the heart. And people who have experienced certain challenges, when they share it, it might be more impactful than just somebody coming and giving you just raw information. You
Exactly.
understand?
Yes.
So all of that together, because remember, it's about raising awareness, it's about getting people to change, it's about getting people to accept more responsibility for their health. So all of it is necessary and all of it can be beneficial. Now I realize that our time is almost up. Coming up on the 1st of December, I think many people sometimes say they don't hear much about that anymore. World AIDS Day.
But before you continue,
Before I
you said
continue,
there's a
okay.
16-day observance of the.
16 days of
So
activism.
do you
But
know any of those
I
activities?
don't have it with me. I'm not able to
Okay.
say what it is at this point. But if you're interested, we use our phones for everything.
Yes.
Please excuse me today that I was unable to say what activities are taking place in St. Lucia, but it's a global observance. That's 16 days of activism. So I am not aware of what exactly the plans are for St. Lucia. So keep your ears and your eyes open. And if there's anything that you can participate in or that you can support, please do so.
Okay.
Yes. So on the 1st of November, World
December.
AIDS. December? What did I say?
Said November.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Thank you. So on the 1st of December, it's World AIDS Day, and that's usually the last health observance for the year. So yes, indeed, HIV is still around. It's a sexually transmitted infection. A lot of progress has been made in terms of treatment. People can live very well with HIV these days for many, many years and live a very healthy lifestyle. So please go to your clinics, get checked, know your status, because the earlier you know what your status is, if you are positive, then you can start your treatment and hopefully have a long and healthy life in spite of the fact that you may have contracted HIV.
Yeah, and the earlier the detection, the better. The more effective the medication will be. So early detection.
Exactly.
So
And
we'll
we
find
also
out.
have our rapid testing. So that means that you can get your result within 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. So I think we're at the end now. Romanos is giving me the eye.
Oh no, I didn't give you any. I was just waiting to hear what the. No, I was just
Okay.
thinking. It's just when you go for these tests, it's so nerve wracking. Between the time that you take the test and you have to wait, it is very nerve wracking. Like you're just waiting. Like, okay, what is that result going to be? So, yeah, it's difficult.
And that is probably one of the reasons that people don't. A lot of people say that they don't want to know what their conditions are, whether they're sick or not. Up to yesterday, some young guys who say, me, I just don't want to know. But it's actually better to
it's better to
know what
so
your status is so that you can do something about it and have hopefully a more positive outcome. So on that note, I will say thank you again to all of our listeners for joining us on our last episode of Casualty 911 for the year 2024. It's a pleasure being on the program, and I will extend my thanks also from Louisa and from the team at the Bureau of Health Education in the Ministry of Health. Thank you so much, and we look forward to a very fruitful year, more engaging year next year, 2025. Thank you.
Yep.
Have a wonderful season.
And a great season to you as well, Fauhn. Thank you so much for taking your time all the time to be here.
Always a pleasure.
All right, 5 minutes after 11 in St. Lucia and the rest of the Eastern Caribbean. We're going to take a break and we're going to come back with some music. Keep it locked to 88.5 Sufra FM.
Casualty 911, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. with the consultant. Health is not merely the absence of diseases. It is your social, economic, physical, spiritual, and mental well-being. Just imagine you're on 88.5 Super FM, talking, questioning, sharing your experience, information, education, entertainment, news, instructions, advice on diabetes, high blood pressure, strokes, menopause, AIDS, pregnancy, sex.
Sex? Did you say sex?
As prescribed, take your medication, exercise, and diet. On 88.5 Super FM, tell a friend, call your neighbor. Casualty 911 is on.
So Freer FM.
Gouvernement Saint-Lucie ka travay ek ministre pour santé bien portant ek zafè grand moun ek ka offert plus pour femmes qui enceinte en Saint-Lucie. En bas plan Universal Health Coverage ek service pour maman ek lich, provision ja fait pour femmes enceintes joindre service laboratoire ek sondage sans payer des sous. Yo kay joindre aussi vaccine, conseil pour bâti famille yo, information à sou nourriture et conseil pour santé sévère. Nous là pour supporter vous. Venez et prendre l'avantage de service ça là tous les semaines sans payer des sous. Commencez le 1er juin 2023. Service laboratoire et sondage pour un rien qui aider mettre femmes enceintes en plus bonne santé et fait plus sauve pour maman et riche. Visitez Health Center qui plus pro là et enregistrer pour Universal Health Coverage. Pour plus d'informations, couillez 468 5328 et bien 468 5300.
Hi, I'm RPB, 9-time Calypso Monarch of Barbados. The beach can be fun, but we have to be tsunami smart. Know the signs. You're at the beach, you feel a strong shaking, run. See the water withdraw an unusual distance from the shore, run. Hear a strange roar from the sea, run. If you experience any of these signs, just run to higher ground. Just run, just run, just run.
Be tsunami smart. Know the natural warning signs. It could save your life. There may not be enough time for an official tsunami warning.
A wholesome and relationally healthy family is an integral foundation for a strong community and nation. The many social ills that plague our island need to be comprehensively addressed to stem the tide of depravity and bring about resilient change and healing. With this in mind, 88.5 introduces an in-depth program called Family Matters. Family Matters is a 1-hour program airing every Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. with Human Services family caseworker. Listen in for insights and detailed information on core topics such as the disciplining of the child, the integral involvement of men, and the empowerment of women in the family, parenting and associated laws, child and drug abuse, domestic violence, and teenage pregnancy. Call in to air your views and make your contributions on 459-7885 or 459-7888. Family Matters on 88.5 Sufre FM.
Blowing up your radio with the hits. 88.5 Radio Sofre.
Rocking around the Christmas tree at the Christmas party hop.
Of course, welcome back inside. We're taking this one here from Brenda Lee. This one is called Rocking Around the Christmas Tree. Hey, you might remember the song from the movie Home Alone.
Let the Christmas spirit ring. Later we'll have
Let's bring in the Christmas spirit exactly 1 month away from Christmas Day.
You will get a sentimental
Who's excited? 7305388. Tell me what you want for Christmas.
singing, let's be jolly. Deck the halls with boughs of holly, rocking around the Christmas tree. Have a happy holiday. Everyone dancing merrily in the new old-fashioned way. You will get a sentimental feeling when you hear voices singing, let's be jolly. Deck the halls with boughs of holly, rocking around the Christmas tree. Have a happy holiday. Everyone dancing merrily in the new old-fashioned way.
It's the most beautiful time of the year. Lights fill the streets, spreading so much cheer. I should be playing in the winter snow, but I'ma be under the mistletoe. I don't wanna miss out on the holiday, but I can't stop staring at your face. I should be playing in the winter snow, but I'ma be under the mistletoe. With you, shawty, with you, with you, shawty, with you. Under the mistletoe, everyone's gathering around the fire. Chestnuts roasting like a hot July. I should be chilling with my folks, I know. I'ma be under the mistletoe. Word on the street, Santa's coming tonight. Reindeer's flying through the sky so high. I should be making a list, I know. I'ma be under the mistletoe. Shawty with you, shawty with you. Under the mistletoe. With you, shawty with you, with you, shawty with you. Under the mistletoe. Yeah. The wise men follow the star. The way I follow